Hi, everyone, and welcome to the QbDVision New Capabilities Overview. Before we get started, I want to go over a few housekeeping items with you. All participants will remain muted throughout the entire webinar. We ask you to please submit your questions via the Q&A section of the webinar. We will be answering the questions at the end of the session, and we will be sending the recording, the deck, and the Q&A out to everyone after the webinar ends. My name is Jean Marie Schiraldi, and I'm the Director of Customer Success here at QbDVision. I'm very excited to be moderating this session with you. And I also have the honor of introducing two of my colleagues and the presenters for today's session. Luke Guerrero is our COO, and Natalie Quan is our Product Manager. Now, I'm going to hand it over to Luke to begin.
Thanks, Jean Marie, and welcome everybody. So before we get started with going into the capabilities we launched, we first wanted to recap on our purpose. Our mission here at QbDVision is to help accelerate breakthroughs and get them to patients faster. And that means supporting you all in your endeavors. So when we think about how we develop product features, what we develop, we think about ways to accelerate those and get them to market faster. And this release especially encompasses some new capabilities that we think substantially improve that for you all. So our goal is to help enable you to do those things. And a lot of what you're going to see today from Natalie and I, we think are significant breakthroughs in sort of getting to that state. And to that end, some of you have been able to join us at the Digital CMC Summit. Some of you may be seeing this for the first time. This is a customer-specific webinar, so the content we're going to cover, Natalie and I are first going to go over the basic capabilities. That may be a refresher if you've already been to the summit or you've seen some of our videos. And then we're going to talk more specifically about some more advanced areas that would matter to you all. And then in the Q&A session, we can dive even further and dig into some questions. However, since there's some of brand new capabilities here, what we also recommend is setting up a separate session, and Jean Marie's team, the customer success team, can help guide you to that right there. So if you have some more advanced use cases or you really see the potential here, we'd love to work with you as a product team and as a company to help develop these capabilities further. So without further ado, let's talk about Doc Builder. So Doc Builder for us represents a brand new capability in terms of assembling the information that you guys are already put into your products and processes. Our goal is to obviously digitize the end-to-end state of pharmaceutical manufacturing. And we think about that, there's initiatives all the way up at the agency level, like the FDA's CASA initiative, that are really working towards digital submissions. However, we know in the environments that you all work in, the documents still rule the world. A lot of information still needs to come out of our platform and be assembled into this A4 letter size document. So how do we enable that? And that's some of the thinking behind Doc Builder, is how do we take the powerful capabilities in our knowledge management platform and how do we bring them to you in a way that you work today? And that's what we're doing with Doc Builder. So let's see it. So the first thing I want to show you is in the project. So I'm here in our aging case study. This is a project. I'm inside of a project record here, and I'm starting out with first this new tab, the document section. So this is new. This is project-based documents. And documents here represent what was always in the platform, which was our document module over here. Now, depending on what you use in the platform, you may or may not have used this module in the past. Documents represent things like reports, SOPs. And what we've done first is we've added the documents module directly into the project module. So now you can create and upload project-based documents. Why would you do that? Well, one reason is to leverage Doc Builder, but you might also want to put in here annual product reviews or any other reports that are already been generated and perhaps generated outside the system, and you want to upload them directly into the project so the project team has access to them. So now you can use this new document section as a centralized home for some of that information. But to enable the document builder capability, what we've done is we've extended this record. So I've just clicked to add a new document record. And you can see this mirrors the existing structure here. We did make some changes, most notably now that you'll see that there's a project and process field associated with the document record. The project field is static. It's based on where you created it, and the process field can change. The rest of the information is slightly restyled, but is the same information that was previously captured within our document records. But here, the main capability, you'll see that the document record defaults to uploading a PDF. This is our traditional document. This is the digital signature where you can upload, like I said, an APR, and you can actually sign that off in the platform. But to access Doc Builder, what you're going to do is we now, instead of using a Word document as a source record, what we now would do is this draft in QbDVision button, which will enable you to pick and create a template. And to start, we launched with 2 templates. We have a blank document template, which I'm going to show you first, which is effectively a blank document. And then we also have a process description template. And as we go, we'll be adding more templates onto the platform. But we really started here, and this was our design target in sort of thinking through the new Doc Builder experience. So let's first start with the blank document. So I have one open here, and the capabilities I kind of want to walk you through and orient you to is the document builder experience. So at the top, you'll see the toolbar, akin to what you might see in Word or Google Docs or any other editor that you may see. I will note that right now it's a little bit more limited. We will be expanding some capabilities in future releases and adding more formatting capabilities. Obviously, Word editors and document editors have been around for a while, so there's a lot of power in here, and we're going to continue to add them on. The second thing you'll notice is over here is these context widgets, which I'm going to show you in a second. And then we have the ability to add tables, because tables are a core part of what we're doing, at least to start with this. So inside here, this is the editable area of the document. You can see I can type in here. So this easy to type in here and just write content. But more powerfully, and as you can kind of see above, what we can also do is connect content. So up here in the toolbar, we have 2 main options. And the first one here allows you to pick through what we call smart content and tie in information directly from your project. So if I want to take my project name from the project fields, I can add that in, and you can see that's now a reference within the project. So this is the first step in sort of enabling and connecting the actual written document to the information within your project. I'll also point out here, as you can see, all the documents get a header and a footer. It's a table that we format, and you can notice here that we're using these fields to sort of reference it. So I'm putting the name in, I'm putting the project name in here. This is just building your standard header footer as you might otherwise do. And when I render this, if I click save, we'll show a preview of what this document looks like, and it's going to pull in all this information to actually connect it live to your project. So there you go, and you can see, boom, hi, my name is Luke, the custom text, and the name of the project right here, plus the header footer was rendered according to the variables selected there by default. Next, I'm going to show you the process description template. So here is a process description template that we've built directly in Doc Builder. I'm just going to scroll through this first. You can see it's got an introduction, a purpose, it's got a process flow diagram that we put in there, and then it's got sections for each unit operation. So this is our AGene case study. So this is going through all the unit operations for the commercial process. It's got lysis with steps like surfactant addition, nucleation addition, plus the equipment list, materials list, the parameters, the criticality. All of this information is filled out and completed in here. But if I come in here and edit this, you can see that the structure is very simple. So if I come down here, you can start to see, okay, this is familiar with what I showed you in the blank template, where we're starting to lay out the cover page of this document. And then further, we're going down, we're writing some text, plugging in variables specifically to help identify and make that text dynamic. And then we're adding images, which represent reports. And then finally, we get to some of the more powerful capabilities of Doc Builder, which is the repeater structure. So I'm going to spend a minute to go into some of these widgets and talk about them. But there's definitely a lot of power in here, and there's some advanced use cases that these can enable, and we can help you use these. So the goal here is to iterate the entire project structure. So as many of you know, in the platform, you have unit operations, you have steps, and the repeater is designed to help you lay that out in a template format. So if you could see here, just at a very high level, I have a repeater for the unit operation. So I'm saying for each unit operation, put the name, put the description, and then I'm creating a series of tables, a table with steps, a table with components, and so on and so forth. So when you add a repeater, you come up here to the widget menu and you get to a selection of widgets. So we have a repeater widget, a table widget, and a reference widget. The repeater allows you to choose something that you want to show all of, and you could pick these like unit operation or step, and then the actual widget will just go through and create a section for each within your document. So you can see that here. So here I'm listing through all the unit operations, and then I've just added a table of steps. So here I just want to show my steps, which is another widget in this context menu. So here you could pick table widget and then select that, hey, I want to show steps within here. And then you're picking what you want to show in each step. So the name and the description. Additionally, we've done one for equipment. The thing I want to point out here, which is kind of neat. So while I'm using the process component name and type, what we pulled in here is supplier. So supplier name. So we're actually able to cross-reference because equipment can be linked to suppliers. We can come over here and cross-reference the supplier record and pull in other fields from that as well. So I'm able to, in my table, cross those in and put them in. And then going even further on the parameter list. So for each unit operation of parameters, for each parameter in this unit operation, I've built a table that says, okay, show me the step, show me the name, show me the criticality. And if you look here, it's a little harder to see, but I'm showing both the color and the risk score. Then the description, the units of measure, the target. And then what we've done here is we've put another sub repeater in here. And now we're looking for all the acceptance criteria that have the filter for NOR. NOR. So here we're getting the acceptance criteria here. So we're able to kind of list out NOR and PAR in the acceptance criteria and build out a nice table that shows how those all work together. So then when I save this or render that you can see that this is all dynamically and pulling live directly from the document. So this is a really powerful capability for templating out the structure of your documents. As I mentioned, the initial starting point for this was thinking about this process description. There are many other use cases that can be enabled and that will continue to enable, but you can leverage this as a framework for how to build your own. You can edit this and sort of figure out what makes the most sense for your own organization's requirements. If I come back to the document record, a couple other things I want to show in wrapping up here. First, these are all versions. So you can see that the document record just looks like all the other ones. So you can see here, we have all the version history, the updates, and you can see here the footnote that I'm actually updating the document, the QbDVision doc versus the document record itself. The other nice thing about documents is they are connected to our approval system. So one option you can have is if you just want to get this to Word, you can export this right here. You can also export this to PDF. But if you wanted to, for example, propose this and approve this directly in our platform, when you hit the propose option, the platform is going to automatically PDF this, attach it as the final doc, and then send that around for approval. So you can actually sign off your reports directly in the platform using our already existing 21 CFR Part 11 compliance signature system. So those are really powerful capabilities that allow you to not only build templated documents, review them, but you can also approve them directly in the platform. So in conclusion, QbDVision Documents is Doc Builder is a new tool that is integrated directly with our core knowledge base. It has the capability to leverage dynamic fields, to build powerful templates, and ultimately in the end state to actually do the approvals and keep all that information directly within the platform. Now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Natalie, to talk about the material library.
All right, thank you, Luke, for that Doc Builder overview. That was super helpful to see. So now I'll be walking you through the material library and showing you exactly how to use it. Let's get started. So the material library is a new feature that introduces a more efficient way to manage materials in the software. We created the library so materials can be managed at a higher level than they are today, specifically above projects. This will help users manage material-related information in a way that better reflects realistic workflows and complements how materials are managed outside of the software today. So with the introduction of the library, there will now be a distinction between library materials and project materials. So the materials that material records that exist today, that exist within the projects, those are going to be project materials. Any material records that are added to the library will now be referred to library materials. And I'll go through how you can create a relationship or define the relationship between the two. So this is one of the biggest advantages of the material library because it provides a space where users can manage information inherent to a material and provided by the supplier separately from the material information that is defined by your product and process requirements. Additionally, other advantages of the material library include helping with standardizing naming conventions for materials and also record information for materials used in multiple projects across different teams. Right, so now I'm going to show you the material library. So this is what it looks like. the way that you access it is in the system level menu in the upper right-hand corner. If you click this, you can see that you have library as the option here. And when you click that, this dynamic table of the material library will load. So you can see you have a bunch of different columns. The first thing to note is that the library is sorted by category or organized by category. And these category options map to the category selections available in the material record. So I went ahead and selected buffer. And we have columns of useful information. So something like used in projects. This column is really cool because it shows you exactly where that library material is being used and exactly which projects it's being used in. So you can see the project, the process, the unit operation, and the step. And you get a picture of how often is this material used and where. And what's nice too is through this menu, you can go ahead and select and jump right to that project material record. Okay. Other columns that are helpful to see are qualification. You can see something like or supplier part number, your internal part number. So this might map to something like an SAP number if you use SAP as an external material management system. Right. Like any other dynamic table in our software today, you can filter the columns that you want to see. So you can just check these different areas and they all map to a field within the library material record. And then you can also filter the information within each column. Let's say supplier here. If you click this button over here, you can do ascending alphabetical order, descending, or you can filter for a specific phrase. Right. So once you've customized the information that you want to see in the library, you can go ahead and export this to Excel to be able to reference outside of the software. And if you want to add a material through this view, you can click this add button here, and that will open to a new library material record that you can fill out. Okay, so now let's go ahead and dive into a specific record. So the specific record that I pulled up is the Pierce IP license buffer. An important thing to note with library materials is that they need to be approved to be used in projects. And this allows another level of control before they're used in projects, especially because all of the information, depending on the relationship, the information from the library record can be pulled directly into the project. And I'll detail that later. But here's the library material record. So it looks really similar to the material record that you know today. However, it has some different sections because, again, the library material record is meant to capture information that's intrinsic to the material and defined by the supplier. So you can see you have the about section over here. You can add your source documents. This is a new section, the material specifications. And again, this would be the specifications that are defined by the supplier. So they typically come or are defined in a certificate of analysis on receipt of the material. And this is really nice because now you can separate those material specifications from the material attributes. And you can really see how do your process and product requirements align with the supplier specifications. Then the next section is material lots. So now you'll be tracking the raw material lots within the library material record. And that's different today, but this is more realistic of external workflows. So you'll now be able to import your COA directly in the library material record and then trend based on the specifications. And this way you don't have to manage importing the same COA in multiple projects. Okay, we also have the qualification section to hold supplier information, the regulatory section, property section, and references and standards. So once you've filled out this library material record and you have it approved, then you can go ahead and add to project. And when you select this option, you can pick exactly which project, process, unit operation, and step that you want the library material to pull into. So you basically can create a project material right from the library, which is nice because you can directly connect the two. So one way that you can connect the two is by syncing the records together. I will define this better through the Process Explorer where it's easier to see. And then when you're creating the project material, or you're pulling your library material to a specific project use instance, you can create the material attributes based on the specifications that you have already added or that are defined by the supplier. So this is just a really nice flow to be able, when you receive a bulk material, you add that to the library, and then which project, or when which project you want to use it in, then you can pull that information directly. And this way you don't have to manage the same information multiple times. Right, another thing to highlight in this related panel over here is the used in projects again. So this makes it really easy to jump from the library material record to the specific project instance in which that material is used in. So now I'm going to go into the ways that you can define the relationship between the project material and the library material, and that's easier to see through the Process Explorer. All right, so this is the Process Explorer view, probably a view that you're all very familiar with. The way that you will add a material now is similar to today, but we have another option. So when you add a material, when you're building out your unit operations, you can either add new like you would today, and that would add a new project material, or you can select a material from the library. And picking this option will pull up a search window, so you can search through the library if you already know, you have that material in bulk, or you already know that it's used for another process and you want to use it for this process. Okay, so what we can see here in this quick panel is a nice view of the project material record, and I'll go through the changes. I'm going to pull up the record by itself. And so immediately at the top, this header is going to show you how your project material is connected with the library, if it is connected. So the three options that you have here is that you can sync your project material to the library material. You can link the project material to the library material, or you don't have to have the project material connected to the library. But if you don't have it connected, then you can't leverage the benefits that the library offers. So let me go ahead and define what synced means. So syncing a project material to the library material means that there is a direct transfer of information between the two records. So what's going to happen is that any synced project material will pull that information directly from that library material record. And the information that's pulled is highlighted in these gray boxes. So this is how the library material will help with naming conventions and kind of the completeness of records, because you'll have to, decide on a naming convention and standardize that and use a naming convention that applies to all of your projects. Okay, you'll also have the library description. Other fields that will be synced are the qualification fields, the regulatory fields, and the property references and standards. So again, this shouldn't be changing based on the material. What's nice with this is that the project material record, even if it's synced, it will have records that pertain to the project material itself. So this is where you're going to capture the information that is specific to your product and process requirements. Okay, so you can describe the function of your of that project material or of that material in that specific project. Okay, also describe the quantity that's used. Okay, so the other option is to have the project material linked with the library material. So what this means is that they're just serving as a reference to each other, and this is captured in the version histories. So you can just easily reference that library material, but there's no direct data transfer between the two. So the records actually maintain individual information. And this is kind of, you would link a material maybe before you know exactly which material it should be synced with, or until you order that material. And with this bar up here, when you see the relationship or the type of relationship that the project material has with the library material, you can change this at any point. So, as your process changes, or as more materials are ordered, or if there are any updates to make, you can change this over here. So you can swap the project material swap the library material that the project material is connected with. If there's an update, if you're going from process development and a non-GMP material, and then that for the manufacturing process, it has to be GMP material. You can unlink and unsync the material as well. So you can change these relationships again as you're making changes to your process. The most important thing to note, with the synced records, is that the benefit with syncing the records is that direct data transfer. So I forgot to highlight this, and this is the part that will save you a lot of time, because what happens is that now when there's a change to that library material record, if there's more information that needs to be added, what happens now is that once you make that change in the library material record and you approve that change, all synced materials will automatically update. They will go back into a draft mode, so they will have to be reviewed and approved. But what's really nice with that is that now you're not making the same change multiple times for the same material. So this is also going to minimize kind of like transcription error across all of the material records in the project. All right, so in conclusion, that wraps up everything that we have for the material library. And so what it's meant to do is it's meant to increase consistency between teams, increase the standardization between projects. It should help increase the efficiency in managing records, especially with that synced relationship. And that will also relay to increase accuracy of the material information across projects. And with that separate supplier specification aspect as part of the material library record, that will help increase your risk knowledge with those specifications compared to your material attributes. Right, so now I'm gonna pass it over back to Luke.
Awesome, thank you, Natalie. That was excellent, appreciate that. All right, so those are the sort of the two main areas. Now we're gonna kind of switch into some other areas that we've updated. But the first one is our risk module. So core to QbDVision is embedded risk. So a big part of QbD and a big part of our platform is tying together risk with product and process definition and other aspects of the project. So as core team users, or those of you that are on the core team, or those of you that are more power users, you probably had to set up an RMP in your life, or approve one, or modify one, and we've been trying to make that a little bit easier. And we're going to show you some changes that we've made to our risk module. So first, over in the risk management plan section, so for those of you not familiar, that's up here under RMPs, or risk management plan, excuse me. I'm going to just come into our default 4x4, which is one of the out-of-the-box ones that we provide for you. And I'm going to show you this new capability that we call not assess. So one of the things that we've added and some of the feedback that we've heard is currently on the platform, you always have to set a risk value. So you're always setting a low, medium, high. We default to high, but in certain cases, you haven't actually assessed the risk. So it's not fair to say that the risk is high, even though in one way of looking at it is you could say, if you don't know, the risk is high, and that's to some extent what uncertainty expresses. But what we want to do is allow a new level of this for not assessed. So when I click here, you'll see that I've enabled a new row in all my schemas here for not assessed. And this is a special row. You notice when it's on here, you can't delete it, but you can turn it on and off from here. What you can do is rename it. So you can, for example, if you want to call this something else, if you're multilingual, if you want to put more specific instructions on where to use it, you can adjust the description, and you can also adjust the label that that is used for this. But this is a flag to say, hey, I haven't actually assessed the impact here. And as I mentioned earlier, this is important for really helping to clarify from a project management perspective what hasn't been done yet and what still needs to be done. So that's one component of what we added. And this also echoes through to the forms, to the reports, just visualizations, filters, et cetera, to help pull this up. Also with that, if you've ever had to sort of modify an RMP, previously in the platform, if you were to make this, so let's say I change this, I save this, and I want to now go propose that. Currently, the software locks an RMP once it's in use. So you can't actually make updates to an existing risk management plan. You actually have to create a new one by cloning it, and then you have to go change your project and copy the project and apply that new one. And that's where we sort of apply all these new calculations and formulas. But we've changed that. So for example, let's say you want to turn on not assessed and you want to take advantage of our by type capabilities. You could now save this and repropose this risk management plan. And after it's approved, something different is going to happen. So now I'm going to jump into a project that's using this risk management plan. So this is an example CAR-T project that we have in the platform. And you can see here when I land on the project dashboard, now you can see this notification saying, hey, a new RMP version is available. So what's different there is that the RMP, the risk management plan, was updated and approved, but the project stayed the same. So previously you couldn't do this at all. It was completely locked. Now what you can do is you can separately version your RMPs, and then each project can opt into those new changes. So why did we do that? Well, first, let's take a look at this change screen. So I'm going to come in here. There's two ways you can access this. I can simply follow this toast here, or I can actually come into the project definition. And you can see here, I'm still getting that notification, but I can also click the change RMP option here. And what that's going to do, and I'm going to open this in a new tab, is just give you the option to directly make that change. So you can see here, it's defaulted me to the new version. So 1.0 is the version my project is currently on. And here I have the option to switch into 2.0. But this can also be used, let's say I want to just get off of this risk management plan altogether. Let's say I want to come over to a different one that we have. So for this one, like I can actually swap out the risk management plans I want to do. So not only can I update them, but I can also change them. And again, this doesn't require copying the project, which was a significant pain point before. So let's say, for example, you enable tech transfer in your RMP, or you reset the scales for that. Now you can come through and update the RMP without having to make a copy of the entire project, because now this has that tech transfer schema built into it. And all you have to do is click save, and the system will go through and apply the calculations necessary to put in this new risk management plan. You'll automatically update all the records in the platform so that have a score that needs to change. And you can see in here, it's highlighting that there are some differences. So these will change, but you could also remap them too. So let's say you wanted to take what was previously a 10 and maybe you didn't want to make it a very high. Maybe you wanted to make it a 5. I don't know why you want to do that, but let's say you could do that. We give you the capability to remap the scoring that already exists in the platform based on this change. So this gives you a little bit more power in doing that. And in this specific plan, I don't have the not assessed on, but you can also reset everything to be not assessed. So for example, if while changing this RMP, you say, you know what, if I've set something to high before, based on this new RMP, I want to set it all back to not assessed and force everyone to assess it again, you can do that too. So in conclusion here, we've modified the RMP structure to give you a little bit more power, to make it easier to use, easier to change. The model shifts a little bit more into an opt-in. I should also tell you too that if you are a project owner and your RMP changes, not only we get that notification when you sort of enter the project, you'll also get an email letting you know that that someone else has approved that RMP, and to go log into the platform to check it out to see if you want to take advantage of that or not. And then, as I mentioned, we have the capability now to do bulk updates, so you get rid of the cloning that you had to do before. So really, exciting stuff, especially for those of you that are dealing with the RMP changes or the risk area of the platform. Over to you, Natalie.
All right, thank you, Luke. So next, I'm going to go through templated processes and 2 features that we've created in terms of the unit operations that are going to make templated processes much easier to work with. So the benefits here, it's called the new copy from feature, and I'll walk through that. But now, when you have platform projects, it better supports these when you're copying over these processes, or when you're building out another version of a platform process that already exists. So this allows you to reuse actions, ultimately saving time and leveraging the work that you already built out. You'll also be able to tech transfer 1 unit operation at a time. And overall, this simplifies management. And then I'm going to show you the UL proposal and how to propose all of the records at once under a unit operation. Right, so if I pull up Process Explorer here, so I'm in just a project, I have a specific process pulled up, and I've pulled up the, I meant to pull up the unit operation record. So the first thing that I'm going to go through is the copy from capability. And so what this allows you to do is leverage the work that you've already done in building out processes. So let's say I'm building out this 500 liter process. I went ahead, I added my first unit operation with this, which is thaw the working cell bank. Now I want to build out the second step. So instead of individually adding another unit operation here, I can select either add new if I want to build it out, or copy from. And so now what this allows you to do is copy that unit operation from another project or process. So again, going to be really useful in applying to platform projects or platform processes. So you can go ahead and select the project. So let me just select the same one. It will load, then I can select the process. So I'm going to actually copy over from the default process. And then I can go ahead and select the unit operation that I want to copy. So let's say now I want to add in the cell expansion step in the disposable vessels. Okay, so what's nice here is that when you copy it, you can rename it more appropriately if you need to for the new process that you're building out. You can also select the order that you want to drop it in. So it gives you an option for more customizability, or if there's a change or an extra step in the new process. Okay, so something to note, again, really nice with this is that the risk links and the records that are underneath that unit operation and contained within that unit operation, those will be maintained when that unit operation is copied over. So if you have a unit operation with process parameters, with materials, process components, and IQAs, those risk links and risk scoring, those are all going to be maintained and copying it over. So again, you don't need to go through every individual record and build these out and duplicate the work. An important thing to note, though, is anything that's related to the project, so anything with the final performance attribute or final quality attribute, those are connected to the project and project specific. So those will need to be built out again because those can change. All right, so then once you've selected all of these options and filled this out, then you would just press copy and add. So then once you build your process and you're ready to approve it, now we have the option to propose all of the records that live under the unit operation at one time. So a bulk proposal for unit operations. And this is going to save a lot of time because you don't have to approve every single child record before you can propose the unit operation record for approval. So you can either press propose over here if you have the unit operation record open, or if you're in the Process Explorer tree, you can highlight over the unit operation, select this menu here, and this will show you now you have a propose option for that. And when you click this option, what's going to happen is that it will load all of the records that live under that unit operation, which I've pulled up here. And the nice feature about this is that it loads all of your records and it kind of shows you the status of the record. It shows you, when the records are complete and completed all of the requirements to be able to be approved, or it will flag anything or any record that needs to still be filled out more thoroughly. So here it will show you exactly what needs to be filled out. So the following fields are required for proposal, but currently missing. And then when you open this record here, it will load in the quick panel. So you have the material attribute, and you could actually edit directly in this quick panel. Okay, so then once you fill out the requirements that are missing, then what will happen is that this flag will update to a check mark. You could open these in the quick panel to review if you need, and then you could send to propose. All right, so that wraps up everything that I have to cover for the unit operations. And this will overall just save you time, save you effort, and be able to just move forward in the software more quickly to reflect any process, new processes that you're building out or any process changes that you're making. So now I'm going to hand it over to Jean Marie for the next portion of the webinar. Thank you.
Supporting our users is always our very top priority and focus here at QbDVision. If you have any questions or feedback or would like more information, you can reach out to the CSM team. We're very excited to work with customers. Email support or enter a question in our support portal. And finally, We are very excited to share some news that many of you may have gotten a sneak peek of last week, but we will soon be unveiling our new Knowledge Hub. But in the meantime, we have made updates to our current Knowledge Hub page to make it easier to find the information you're looking for. Well, thank you all for your participation and for the great questions you asked. We will be sending the recording, the deck, and the Q&A out to everyone after the webinar. Have a great rest of your week. Thank you.